So you requested is that I do a breakdown or a reaction on the press conference of Min Heejin. And some of you actually sent me a message saying that you felt that she was ill prepared for the press conference, that she should have taken her time to compose herself, organize her thoughts so that she can appear more professional before she speak to the public. I actually would argue the opposite. I think she was very, very prepared and she knew exactly what she was doing. This is a dream of a PR person. If you want to study or teach or learn about the different strategies and tactics used by different people to sway public opinion or to convince people or to manipulate people, this is a perfect piece. She was stellar. It was a stellar performance. So we will go through the different strategies that she used in order to manipulate public opinion or sway public opinion. I believe that once you are more aware of the different types, different strategies that people use to manipulate people, then you will become better at spotting BS, right? So when you're talking with somebody, you're dealing with somebody, if you know what you're hearing, then you will be able to react better, decide better, and also be with better company. Okay. If you find this helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button, and share the video if you can. Also, subscribe to me on Patreon and also on X and on Twitter, and of course on Instagram, because I will be uploading some more content there. All right, on to the video. When someone is trying to manipulate somebody or sway public opinion, there are many different strategies, but there are three major ones: pathos, logos, and ethos. Pathos is the appeal to emotion. So they use certain words or tonalities or even the way that they look in order to evoke a certain emotion. So it could be pity, anger, admiration. So if they want you to pity them, they can say like, oh, they're going against me, I have nobody on my side, something like that. Now, logos is using logical connections between ideas, using statistics or physical evidence or facts. So this is what we should be looking for, but people usually tend to feel first before they think. That's why usually pathos is more effective in swaying public opinion. Ethos is when you establish your authority. So the trick is to convince people that you're the most qualified, so that whatever it is that you say goes. You're the most qualified to talk about a certain subject. Now, under each of that would be different tactics, but I'm not going to go through each because it's going to take us forever, and I don't know if you're interested in that. So I'm just going to go through the actual the actual talking points, and I will be using the Korea Jongang Daily as the basis of it because they did a pretty good job. They did a live translation and they got about like 95% of what she said, according to my friends. So I will be using that, and the link of that will be found in my description box. Okay, first point. Red herring is one of the most commonly used fallacies or tactic in order to manipulate other people or sway public opinion. It is an attempt to redirect a conversation away from the original topic by introducing an irrelevant piece of information that distracts the reader or the listener from the original topic. So, I'll give you an example. They were talking about, in the beginning of the press conference, they were talking about the laptop and why she has not returned it. So she said they took the vice CEO's laptop and took the conversation that I had. For me, that feels like the greatest scam. That second sentence, her feeling like that it is a scam, and why she has not returned the laptop has nothing to do with each other, but she's making you think that it is connected. The laptop is a company property. If they want it back, they should be able to have it back, because the only thing that you should be doing when something is provided for you, an equipment or a facility, is to do your work. So if they want it back, they should be able to give it back. She's saying that I will not be able to do my work, which I've already said that it is not true because they will be providing her with a new one. Then she went on to detail CEO Park Ji-won, who used to be close to me until lately, and everyone else who attacks me right now. Now she's positioning herself as the victim. Everyone else is a perpetrator. And then she said, I made an internal report, which I hope would be addressed formally by the company. So many things have stemmed from there. I wanted to tell my story. I've been living in hell. Oh, poor you. But why haven't you returned the laptop? So she has talked about how she feels, the hell that she's been in, but she has not answered the original question, why have you not returned the laptop? But you're not thinking about the original question anymore. You're only thinking about how evil this other entity is, because that's the only thing that she's talking about. And she looks distressed. She doesn't look like she showered. Her eyes are puffy. Such a poor woman. And then she name drops New Jeans. Now she's attaching herself to somebody you're fond of or you love, which is New Jeans. But even when New Jeans told me they love me and thanked me like their parent, I have never agreed with people suspecting me or thinking that I love New Jeans like a fan. I have never loved the idol culture. My goal has always been to make my work in a clean, confident way great. But why haven't you returned the laptop? So many things introduced, so many concepts introduced. She managed to paint this other company to be evil, but she has not answered the original point of argument, which is why she has not returned the laptop. Now, she returned to the laptop more than an hour after. She said, they told me to hand in my laptop yesterday, then disclosed a different date from others. The lawyers from Kim and Shang, I'm just a normal person from art school. Now she's again reinforcing her identity as the aggrieved party. She's alone. She's not really powerful. She just did art. She graduated from an art school. And this still has nothing to do with the original question. Why haven't you returned the laptop? But again, you're not thinking about it because all you can think of is how evil Hybe is. So let us assume that they are retaliating against the report that you filed. So what? It still has nothing to do with the laptop. That remains their property and you should return that. Red herring. One of the most popular tactics used when in an argument or when you're being manipulated by somebody. Project 1945. 1945 is an important date among Koreans because this is the end of the reign of Japanese over Korea. Now, there is a folder in the Vice CEO's laptop titled 1945, and in there are documents that guide them how to take over a door eventually. And they were asked about it, and can you guess what they did? It is a fallacy or strategy called minimization. This is when you make something or the point of an argument so insignificant or unimportant that it's not even worth talking about. Like it doesn't matter. The lawyer said, "Oh, it was just a memo. It wasn't a conversation. It was just a memo by the vice CEO." That's what the lawyer said. So it's like, "Oh, don't even pay attention to it. It's nothing." And then Min Heejin swooped in and said, "They came to me and cried yesterday. They thought that I was going to kill myself after the conversation with the attorneys." So coming from minimizing something so important, but they said it doesn't matter. And then she came in with something really, really important, which is taking somebody's life. She's talking about suicide. That's serious. So now, again, you've forgotten about 1945. You're just thinking about, oh my God, they went to her. They know that she's in trouble. Okay, and then she swooped in with appeal to pity. That's what you call it, when you generate feelings of sympathy or mercy from the listeners to get their sympathy or to make them agree with you. And she has done that in the entire conversation. She said things like, "I've been living in hell. I have no friends. I've actually not been happy even though New Jeans is successful. I'm only an art school graduate. They're attacking me. I'm all alone." So all of this to make herself look small, like she's the aggrieved party, even though she has the second biggest law firm beside her. But using words that would evoke that emotions, and then she's crying, she has no makeup, it feels like she hasn't showered in days. All of that added to the feeling of sympathy. Okay, so that's the next fallacy or next tactic: minimization and appeal to pity. The next strategy that she used is actually very interesting. It's appeal to authority. She used an entity or a group or a name that is trusted by people and made it appear as if that trusted person or entity, that is the most credible person to talk about this entire issue. And in this case, she used New Jeans. Because New Jeans is loved by everybody. They're the girl group of Korea. And she's saying that Nugent trusts her and that they pity her and that they were crying. They wanted to tell the whole world what's happening. And because of that, then people should believe her because Nugent trusts her. And no. They actually don't know anything about. They shouldn't even be involved in this. We shouldn't even be talking about them. They're kids. They don't know the legalities of these things. They don't fully understand the legalities of those things. Adults like us don't even fully understand the legalities of things, and you expect this 20-year-old, 16-year-old, 18-year-old to understand? No. So, but she's using them to be the voice of authority. She's telling people, you have to believe me that I am right because these girls that you love and trust actually believe me. The next is the exaggeration fallacy. This is when you introduce new concepts, sometimes concepts that are big and important and glamorous, but not necessarily connected to your original point of contention. She said, I've been fed up with the long-lasting ills of K-pop industry, but it was what I was good at rather than I liked it. I held on because of the achievements that I've made, but just 2 days later, I got a call from a headhunter. They told me someone wanted to see me, but didn't tell me who it was. It was Bang Chi-hyuk, the person who attacks me now as if it's okay for me to kill myself. I'm like, what? Okay, I will join you in hating the K-pop industry, but you gotta answer my question first. 2 questions. Why haven't you returned out? And why have you been researching the takeover of Adore? I mean, I feel bad for you that you feel attacked, and maybe this is an evil person you're talking about, Bang Chi-hyuk. Great, let's talk about that later. For now, just answer my 2 questions. So again, you've forgotten the original questions, and you're now talking about how evil the K-pop industry is, how she is trying to save it, she's trying to change it, and there's this bad guy that is driving her to suicide. Exaggeration fallacy. There's another strategy that she used, and it's called contextomy. This is when you don't put the proper context in a piece of information. In this case, there was a conversation between him and Bang Chi-hyuk supposedly about Nugent getting into Billboard Hot 100. And she said that Bang Chi-hyuk asked him, why are you happy? Why are you laughing? I want to know. And she said, why wouldn't I have been happy? And she said verbally, doesn't the conversation seem really weird? Our relationship had changed, she said. So obviously she's saying that he's not happy about Nugent getting into Billboard Hot 100, when in fact she didn't show the entire conversation. We don't know how that started and what led Bang Chi-hyuk to say that. Second is, so there was another part when she said that Bang Chi-hyuk asked her if she can beat aespa in December. And her response was that was never my goal. And so she said, I know that she looks nice, that he looks nice, Bang Chi-hyuk looks nice, but he isn't what you think that he is. And this is news to you? Are you trying to convince us that he is not a nice person, he's not a kind person? A lot of ARMY already knows that. I mean, this is why a lot of ARMYs don't like him, because he pushed the boys to their limits. This is the same guy that made BTS practice to the wee hours in the morning so that he can make sure they are synchronized frame by freaking frame. And you want to destroy his there is no reputation to be destroyed. Second, he's the CEO of a soon-to-be conglomerate. Yeah, he's going to be competitive. That's what you do when you're trying to build products, when you're trying to build a company. You study the market, you look for ways on how to build the competition. If you're not looking at that, you're probably not going to succeed, right? In fact, she is doing it. Min Heejin is doing it. That's why she's comparing Nugent with I'll It, because she is looking at the competition. So you're angry at somebody for doing something, or you're framing somebody to be bad for doing something that you're also doing. Another thing that you should watch out for would be consistency in people's statement. People who are simply trying to manipulate you or trying to get something out of you would be contradicting themselves at some point, and that's what she did. In the beginning of the press conference, she said that my top priority is to clear my name, and the second is to reveal the truth of what happened. That is fine. I think people have the right and the obligation to clear themselves when they are being smeared. But towards the end of the press conference, she said that the reason I came forward today is because of Nugent's content, which is supposed to come out the next day. I knew that if I didn't say anything today, then people would talk badly about them tomorrow. So which one is it? If it is all three, that's fine, but you have to be upfront about it. And I think she was just losing track of what she was saying. That's just what I think. But she did it again. She was inconsistent about money. She repeatedly said throughout the conference that it wasn't about the money, but in the same breath, she contradicted herself. She said, I know that it would have been best for me to spend my own money and make a label. The reason I joined the company was that it had a set system. The family, the employees, it was easier for me to pay them. But if you make a new company, you inevitably become poor. But I wanted to fulfill my potential. It wasn't about making money. So which one is it? I don't think there is anything wrong if people do what they do because of money. As I've said, I understand that for some people like Pokemon cards, some people like gardening, and some people like money. There's nothing wrong with it for as long as you are upfront about it, or you can just not talk about it. But I think if you lie about it, then that's what's wrong. Also, she kept on saying that it wasn't about the money, but she also admitted that she was renegotiating her contract. And according to Hybe, and I know they have proof, otherwise they wouldn't have said it, she's already the highest paid CEO in Hybe. So what is she asking for? And the payment that they revealed is just her salary. She has bonuses, she has long-term bonuses, she has stocks options. She also lied about not being able to sell her share, which is the next one. She has an inflated sense of self-importance. It's actually healthy to look at yourself positively and to be confident, but you do have to be realistic in how you look at yourself. You can't make yourself believe you achieved something you haven't. And I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, I'm not an expert on all these things, but she did say no one else has done what I have done during the 30 years in K-pop. And so that made me think, what is it that she has done that no one else has done? She's definitely not the first to launch a group that went inside Billboard Hot 100, duh. Not even the first girl group, duh. She's not the first to launch a girl group that performed in a festival. Blackpink did it twice. 21 did it. Also not the first group to launch a group with no trainee debt. Treasure went on record to say they don't have any trainee debt. AB6, their debt was canceled by their CEO. Not the first one to use Y2K concept or R&B concept. So what is it? Is it like the system that you have inside your organization, like everyone's relaxed and open? How sure are you that no other agencies like that? We know FNCs like that because they've talked about it. But so what is it? So this gives me an idea that she associates certain achievements to herself that may not necessarily be true. True that you've launched a very successful girl group, but the level of success as of yet, they will become successful, more successful someday, I am very sure. But as of yet, not yet. They haven't done anything yet that no other group has done. And yet she thinks she has done something in K-pop no other person has been able to do in the 30 years of K-pop. Now, to add to that, she also said, I am the only one in the industry. She said that. And it was in the middle of a tirade. She said like, oh, the reason we don't do photo cards is because we do random gifts. If you have pictures of every celebrity, it becomes a dictionary. If you do photo cards, people are going to compare the popularity of the members. I wanted to compete fairly with content. I don't like random gifts either. I micromanage because that's taking responsibility. I wish other companies would stop doing that. You mess up the market. You mess up the stock market. New Jeans also wants to hold an autograph event for New Jeans. But what really upsets me is how Hybe is taking credit for New Jeans. These sentences are not connected to each other. She was really just going off. And then she said, I know I look crazy, but I don't act elegant. I'm tender inside. I wish people with some sort of ideology would lead the industry and not just people who are after making money. And that assumes that she's not after making money, but after what Hybe actually disclosed about her salary, that doesn't seem to be believable, because she's getting the most in Hybe and she's still negotiating for more. So that discredits her claim that she's the only one in the industry. And the assumption to that, the premise is that she's the only one who can save the industry. Plus, because she's too focused on herself, she's actually forgetting to give credit to what really matters: music saving people's lives. If you go into Weverse, for example, you're going to see a lot of people leaving messages to the artist talking about how their music saved their lives. And this is not just BTS, okay? You go to other groups in there and you will see a lot of people thanking the artists because they actually made a difference in their lives. But she missed all of that. She didn't give credit to all of that because she's too focused on herself. Just that one sentence, "I'm the only one in the industry." I'm like, I doubt it. I doubt it, dude. She mentioned her stocks. She said that she is unable to sell her stocks and that she is in a slave contract. Now, Hybe already disputed this. She said that her earnings are around 1.46 million US dollars, which includes performance incentive for 2023, separate from her regular pay and long-term incentives, and this makes her the top earner in Hybe. She also got a lot of stocks, which most people can't even imagine. Still, she wanted to negotiate more. She wanted more money. Now, when we hear CEOs getting 50 million, 150 million, usually the majority of that would be in stocks, because they usually get it only when their stocks reach a certain price. The rationale being, if your money is dependent on the performance of the company, then you're going to do your best to make the company perform well so that you get your money back. So, but then there are instances, for example, if you want to buy more stocks and you want to buy it for a lower price, the company can give it to you for a lower price, but they will usually lock it in. So, for example, this is just an example. Coca-Cola is usually around $60, and I say, I want to buy it for $45. Probably they'll say, okay, we'll give it to you for $45, but then they'll lock it in. Because what if I get the stocks at $45 and then sell it the next day? Then they're going to lose money. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. What they usually do is they lock it in to make sure that you stay with the company, you perform well, you make sure that the company performs well, and everybody benefits. That being said, Hybe is still very, very generous, because the expiration will be they end the lock-in in 2026. That's extremely short. It usually takes longer. So they were still very generous. So yeah, on that aspect, she lied. I think this is a really good takeaway from watching her handle her PR and do all of these press conferences. We are seeing the different tactics that people use to manipulate people, sway public opinion, gain sympathy. Those tactics are in action, and it's going to help us when we can apply it in our lives, especially if we're trying to decide on objective issues. We know whether the person that we're talking with is actually talking reason, or they're just spewing their own feelings or emotions. We are better able to identify the difference between facts and feelings, logic and emotions. And both, there is a time and place for both, usually not at the same time. There are times when we really just need a reason. We need to make a decision based on logic and reason. And there are times when we need to take into consideration emotions and feelings. So that being said, when somebody is emotional, just because somebody is emotional, doesn't mean that they are lying. Maybe they really just are incapable of processing their feelings or processing their thoughts. So at this, really being able to identify all of these fallacies, this is more useful when you're trying to make decisions that should be objective, like social issues, political issues, in a professional setting, in a corporate world. These are helpful. Okay, there are other questions, like, is Bang Shiyuk using intimate language with their text exchange? Why did Hybe get her despite having the pedo reputation back in SM? Why did Hybe allow her so much power? Why is Min Heejin, what is her real issue in all of this? And there are also questions about female leadership, and these are highly charged questions. This can trigger a lot of people, so I would rather just answer them in Patreon. At least I know that people who are really going to become members are interested in hearing objective inputs. So just follow me there. There is a free membership, so if you don't want to pay, that's fine. And also follow me on Twitter, X, and also Instagram, because there are some projects that I will be announcing soon. So thank you for staying. Thank you for asking the questions that you continue asking. And if you have any more questions to ask, if you have suggestions, leave them in the comment section below, or directly get in touch with me in all the social media links that you see on your screen right now. If you find this helpful, please give it a like, subscribe, and hit that notification button, and share if you can, please. Thank you.